Welcome in, Bills Mafia, and welcome back to our Week 9 pregame show of the Buffalo Bills and New York Jets game this Sunday at 1 p.m. in East Rutherford, New Jersey. I am your host, Brett, back with another edition of the Go Bills podcast. Glad to be with you on this Sunday afternoon, about 15 minutes before kickoff. Looking forward to the Bills and Jets game. Let's go over the inactives to start off for the Bills. A couple of inactives that are important for the game. First one is going to be Jordan Poyer is inactive with an elbow injury. Matt Milano is inactive with an oblique injury. Tre'Davious White, who was called up to the roster after the ACL injury, will be inactive as well. Right tackle Spencer Brown is inactive, and so is Tommy Sweeney. For the Jets, Joe Flacco is inactive. Corey Davis is inactive. Bryce Hall is inactive. Jeremy Ruckert is inactive. Bam Knight is inactive. And Tony Adams is inactive. So let's go over to the keys to the game for the Bills. Let's start with the important key to the games. And the first one is a very important key to the game, which is let Josh Allen be Josh Allen, but also make sure he's being smart. Last week in the game against the Green Bay Packers, he was good in the first half. He had an early lead, had the 2 touchdowns. But the biggest thing for me was that he was just very, very he made stupid decisions. He was pressing the ball down the field. He was making decisions that he doesn't normally make, and it wasn't an MVP form that he normally has. So I would say to Josh to be smart. You can press the ball down the field, make good plays, but also make sure you take what the defense gives you, and it will allow you to keep the ball on the field, not get small yardage, and get to where you're in third and manageable situations, which is very important. Second is take care of the rock. And this is not only for Josh Allen, but also for the whole entire offense. You've seen some plays where it's just boneheaded mistakes that they're making and they're not doing the right things at the right time. So I would advise Josh in the offense to take care of the rock. Make sure that when you are getting tackled that the Jets are probably going to try and punch the ball out, which is a way for them to win the turnover battle. So take care of the rock. Make sure you have 2 arms on the ball, and make sure that when you are going down, make sure that you're going down and staying down, not allowing them to have the ability to get you locked up. Another key is win the turnover battle. The Bills are +3 in the turnover battle, which they were number 1 in the NFL in the turnover battle before the Green Bay Packers game, but they had 2 interceptions in that game, and that cost them a little bit of ground in the turnover battle. But make sure you win the turnover battle in this game. Another key to the game is going to be take advantage of the penalties that the Jets have. The Jets are giving up 6.5 penalties per game, so take advantage of the penalties that you have. And make sure that if you do have a penalty that you are taking deep shots down the field, and make sure that you're also taking advantage of the one-on-one situations that you'll have with Sauce Gardner as well as with DJ Reed. So in those situations, if you have a penalty and you can take a deep shot down the field, take that shot, because worst case scenario, it's an interception. Best case scenario, you get pass interference, it's a completion, or even it looks good on the paper and you can use it for another play later on in the game. Another key to the game is going to be don't let up. You saw this last week. Buffalo in the second half looked like they were regressing, and they weren't the same team that they were in the first half. They were struggling a lot, and it just wasn't the same team. And it seemed like the Bills, especially on defense, were just letting the Packers go down the field. And while that could be contributed to having the 3 tight ends on the field for the Green Bay Packers, I would love to see them take advantage of every single play that they have. Make sure that you're involved in every single play, wrapping guys up, and make sure that you're not just standing out there looking confused, which is something that I think it was more of a scheme thing that more than anything with the Packers, but I want to see them not give up and play 4 great quarters of football. Lastly, be disciplined. Make sure you're disciplined each and every play. Make sure you're not giving the Jets a chance to get involved in the game. You saw last week before the game, Stephon Diggs was chirping at Jair Alexander, and while there could be some history from before when Alexander and Diggs were in the same division, and Diggs was playing for the Minnesota Vikings, it could very well be something from back then. But don't give the other team an advantage and something to play for. The Jets have a good record. They're a good team, and you don't want to give them that spark that gets them going. Now, a few matchups that I'm really looking forward to in this game. The first one is going to be the Bills pass offense going up against the pass defense of the New York Jets. The Bills are number one in the passing game, and they have been averaging 314 passing yards per game. They're second in the NFL in passing touchdowns as well. And leading receiver Stephon Diggs is going to be going up against Sauce Gardner, which is a great matchup. Diggs is getting 109 yards per game, which is an excellent stat, which he's second in the NFL in those numbers. But Sauce Gardner is a cornerback that has 12 pass defenses this season and has only given up one touchdown this year. He also has a 64% passer rating this season given up to wide receivers, and he'll be tasked with covering Diggs. On the other hand, on the other side of the field, DJ Reed is going to be going up against Gabe Davis, and DJ Reed has looked phenomenal this season and even better than Sauce Gardner. DJ Reed has a 60% passer rating this season, and he will be tasked with going up against Gabe Davis. Another key matchup is going to be the Bills' offensive line versus the defensive line of the New York Jets. The offensive line of the Bills has been pretty good the last few weeks, but their most difficult task is going to be going up against the New York Jets. The Jets have been pressuring quarterbacks 31% of the time and have 21 sacks this year. On the other hand, the Bills' offensive line and pass offensive line has looked phenomenal over the past few weeks. They've only given up 22% pressures as well as 11 sacks this season. For the run game of the Bills and the run blocking offensive line has done a better job over the past few weeks of getting involved more. Last week for the New York Jets, the Jets were struggling to stop Ramondre Stevenson, and they didn't do a very good job. The New England Patriots had about 150 yards in that game for rushing offense. So the Bills could take advantage of that. And you've seen over the last few weeks that the offensive line has been able to generate holes for Devin Singletary and James Cook. And newly acquired Nyheim Hines, an electric running back who was acquired from the Indianapolis Colts for Zach Moss and a 5th-round pick, is going to be added to the lineup. So the Bills could get the spark going with the new addition of Nyheim Hines and get their running game going as well. On the other hand, the Jets' running defense has only given up 3.8 yards per carry, which is third in the NFL. Shifting over to the defensive side of the ball, the Bills' pass defense is going up against the Jets' offense. And last week for the Jets, Zach Wilson had 3 interceptions to go along with the 355 yards that he had in the game, but he also had 2 touchdowns. The Bills are giving up 6.6 yards per attempt this season, and they have 11 interceptions on the year. And that's mostly because of Dane Jackson as well as Kyer Elam, who will be tasked with going up against Elijah Moore and Braxton Berrios. And another good reason for why the Bills' pass defense has looked so phenomenal is because of the Bills being able to generate pressure with 4 guys on the defensive line. They haven't had to bring in another guy to generate the pressure like we saw last year. The Bills have 21 sacks on the year. They have been generating 28% pressure this season, and they have a 15.2% blitz rate. And this is mainly because of Von Miller as well as Greg Russo. They've both been able to generate pressure. Miller has 6 sacks on the year. Russo has 5 sacks, and Russo has emerged as one of the elite pass rushers in the league as well. As for the run defense of the Bills, which has been phenomenal, they did have a little bit of a hiccup last week. They gave up 208 yards on the ground last week, but I do contribute that to the changes that the Packers made at the halftime. They did go with 3 tight end sets as well as having 5 offensive linemen, which makes it 8 guys on the line, whereas the Bills had 5 or 6 guys in the box and they were looking to stop the deep ball over the top for the Green Bay Packers. So that's mostly why the Bills struggled with the run game last week. They're only giving up 4.1 yards per carry this season, which is tied for 5th in the NFL. But I do think Buffalo is going to get it straightened out. They will be fine for this game. And the Jets don't have very good running backs right now. They did acquire James Robinson, but he doesn't understand the playbook yet. So I don't think that he's going to be involved so much right now. As well as Michael Carter is a good running back as well. And I think over the season, they're going to be fine. But I just think in this game, they're going to have to pass the ball, which is Buffalo's biggest asset that they have. And they'll be able to run the ball a little bit. Or they won't be able to run the ball. They'll be able to pass the ball. Buffalo will be able to stop them that way. And that's why I think Buffalo is going to come into this game and have an early lead often. And they'll pull away from this game very fast. As for the score predictions, I have the Bills winning this game 38-24 over the Jets. Josh Allen going for 267 yards, 4 touchdowns, 1 interception. Diggs 105 yards. Singletary with 74 yards, and Hines with 59 yards. Let's go over to Instagram real quick, where we have a comment on Instagram. Christopher Regino said they are going to take Zach out. Go Bills, don't blink. That's exactly the mindset this year, is the don't blink. Talked about it left and right. That's the metaphor that's going around the locker room, is that don't blink. And I think that that's going to be the main reason why Buffalo is going to come into this game. They're going to be phenomenal. They're going to look great, and they're going to play 4 awesome quarters of football. Let's go over to YouTube with another comment. Caveman Sean said, good luck from a Jets fan, hoping it's a dogfight. Excited to see this wide receiver and defensive back matchup. And on both sides of the ball, I think that there's great matchups left and right. You can talk about Quinnen Williams going up against the interior offensive line for the Bills. There's great matchups with the wide receivers in Gabe Davis and Sauce Gardner, or Gabe Davis going up against DJ Reed, or Diggs going up against Sauce Gardner and DJ Reed. It's going to be great matchups left and right. And these are 2 teams that have both been built very well. 2 great GMs in Joe Douglas as well as in Brandon Beane. And 2 excellent head coaches in Sean McDermott and Robert Saleh. And I think that both coaches are phenomenal. They're great defensive coaches, and they will get it, both organizations straightened out. I think the Jets are just a year too far behind, and they'll get it straightened out very soon. Don't forget to like and subscribe, comment, and shoot us DMs on all our social media platforms. You can find us on YouTube, Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, and TikTok. And we will see you at the halftime of the Bills and Jets game. As soon as it becomes halftime, we'll be on. This has been the Go Bills podcast, and we will see you at the halftime. And as always, Go Bills.
Go Bills!
Thanks.